Could it be any hotter? I'm turning my lamp off. Light causes heat or something. Light causes heat. Or something like that. Hello. I might take my hair off. I'm kind of hot. This is from yesterday. It's not that great the day after. My hair is looking kind of strange. Does it look straight? I'm wearing a little Hawaiian outfit because I thought maybe I'd feel cooler or something. This is a lot of hair, okay? My fan, you know my fan that's like falling apart? Well, it's even more falling apart now. I really have to get a new fan. I'm really silly about fans though. I like that one I bought in Chinatown. I know it's the same kind of thing you can buy at the dollar store, but I like Chinatown. So I like to go to Chinatown to buy my fan. Oh yeah, Nancy Drew was missing at the end of chapter 13. Scary. I was just gonna go get something and I forgot what it was. A fan or something. I need something to fan myself, okay? Hello, whoever's there. Hello, who are you? Could it be simply sapphire? See this? See right here? That's where I'm supposed to look. That's where you are. I'm not supposed to look at myself. Windows open. I'm hoping it's going to start raining because that will cool things down. What did I say I was getting? Something to fan myself with? Like a fan? Oh yeah, I have this fan. When I was in the doctor's waiting room a while ago, I had my broken fan, and this lady sitting next to me noticed my broken fan, and she was like, "Here, take my fan." And I was like, "This one works. It's okay." But she insisted I take her fan. She's like, "I have tons of fans." So she gave me her fan. So I'll just use, this will be my live fan. Okay. Well, it kind of goes with the book. I just made a loud clicky mouth sound. Sorry. I had a cheeseburger and I'm feeling like reading. I don't know. It's this restaurant that I stop at every now and then. It's like a little hole in the wall, but they're awesome. And they have yummy, yummy fries. But I just wanted a burger, a cheeseburger. And it tasted different than it did all the other times. It like wasn't yummy, but I think it might be me. It might be my taste buds or something being different. Because usually it's like, I ate it because I need the meat, but I didn't enjoy it as I normally would. My sun fan. Okay, well, I'm just going to sit here for a while and see if anyone shows up. It's Monday and it's like 1:30 or something. It's pretty much just syrupy sugar. It's an all syrup squishy. Is that what they're called on The Simpsons? The slushies that they get from the Quickie Mart? Squishy. Hello. I think I can read without light. Is that better? I can feel the wind at least. I can feel the wind, which is nice. Oh. I know I don't need to wear a wig, but I feel cute with it, so it helps. I had it on. I've been out once today. I went out in the morning, went to the cafe, got a coffee and a banana, ate my banana, had 3/4 of the coffee, tons of water. And then I went to the clinic to see the nurse. and she fixed me up real good with medical supplies for my own nursing. And she cleaned up my, well, you don't want to hear it, like where my biliary tube is, because I was all messed up. And while I was lying on the bed in the clinic, she was like, okay, I'm gonna go get the stuff. And when I came back, my wig was off because it was just getting in the way. So, no battery. Okay, sorry, bye. It was at 80% and it said battery powering down or whatever. What if I was out doing something important and my battery powered off? Beggars can't be choosers. Anyway, what was I yapping about? Oh yes, I had my blonde wig on and I was lying in the clinic, and the nurse went to go get my supplies, a bag of supplies for me to take home. And I was like, oh man, I gotta take this wig off. So I took it off and put it in my bag, and she came back and she didn't even notice that my wig was off. So I've been carrying my wig is a little messy because I've been carrying it around. No, I put it back on when I was done at the clinic. I was like, I'm gonna put my hair back on. So I did. And then I went to have my cheeseburger and I took my hair off in the bathroom in the restaurant. I took my hair off and then ate my cheeseburger. I also got 2 records. Well, I went into the Salvation Army because I always look at the kids' books to see if I can find any Nancy Drew, and I didn't. But the records are right beside it. So I was looking for some Perry Como. I only have 1 Perry Como record. And I found some good records. I found a Ray Anthony with a really nice cover, and it was in good condition. Thank you, Haley. Thank you. So I took the record out to see if it looked good, and it wasn't even Ray Anthony. It was some guy I'd never heard of. So, but I got a really good compilation from '77 with songs I like. And I got this Italian saxophone guy. Let me show you, because I never heard of this guy, but the record's in really good condition and it looks fun. Look at this guy. See this guy? The singing saxophone. Oh, that's great. Thank you. The singing saxophone of Fausto Papetti. And I was looking at the title, Sleepwalk. I love that song. I was like, is that the Sleepwalk I know? The one from the 60s? And it is. But look at this guy. He was like, please buy my record. There's so many Roger Whittakers here, but there's only 1 Fausto. Please buy me. So I did. Okay, you go over here. All right. Let us go over the end of chapter 13. I know, so there's lots of weird little blips and sounds, like sound glitches and whatnot when I play this back, and I'm sure you hear it. Somebody commented the other day when I said bats, a group of bats, it sounded like bits. And I do listen, I listen to the playback just to see if it sounds okay, and it gets really weird, the sound. So I don't know what's going on, and I apologize if that happens. It's gonna rain, I'm excited. Okay. So they were going down into the cellar to see if the bat guy was down there or somebody's hiding down there. And Ned was like, I'm going first. I have a flashlight. So he went down and then he called for her to come, but she wasn't coming. So he went back up and she's nowhere. And Bess is like, oh my God, where is she? The 5 young people looked at one another. Panic seized them. What had happened to Nancy? So Nancy's missing in the castle. Mm-mm. Chapter 14, The Castle Captive. I shouldn't have left Nancy alone, Ned declared, blaming himself for her disappearance. Let's talk about this sensibly, said George. The group discussed the situation for several minutes and concluded that Nancy could not have left the castle. Since she didn't go upstairs, said George, that leaves only one place she could be, the cellar. But why didn't I see her? Ned argued. I suggest you girls wait here. Bert and Dave and I will go downstairs with a flashlight and see what we can find out. Ned tried to keep his voice calm, but the others knew he was greatly upset. He led the way, and presently the boys vanished into the darkness of the castle basement. Bess and George stood at the top of the stairway, looking up and down the long corridor and hoping Nancy would reappear. George strode back and forth nervously. Bess was dabbing her tear-filled eyes with a handkerchief. Finally, George said, I can't stand this any longer. The boys should have been back by this time. Maybe something has happened to them, too. She started down the cellar stairway. Bess went after her and grabbed her arm. If we all get captured, who's going to go for help? She asked. Sometimes Bess is a smart cookie. You're right, George agreed. But what in the world happened to Nancy? It seems as if she just vanished into thin air. Oh, I thought I saw a swear word, but it was luck. Excuse me. Bess gave a tremendous sigh. That moonstone somebody sent her certainly didn't help Nancy. I'd say it brought her bad luck. As Bess stopped speaking, both girls heard a startled mutter. It seemed to be coming out of the wall. The cousins huddled together. Who had made the sound? The two girls gazed at the paneled beams beside them. Was it possible someone was hidden behind the wooden wall? This is reminding me of an Edgar Allan Poe story. The Black Cat. Someone gets buried in a wall. Or like behind a brick wall. George decided someone was there. Could the person be Nancy, trapped, injured, or a prisoner? Was someone with her, keeping the young sleuth from crying out? The girls must find the answer, because the boys ain't no help. Motioning with her hands, George indicated a plan to Bess, who nodded. George would go down to the cellar, try to find the boys, and get them to help break down the wall. Although Bess was fearful of being left alone, she consented. Her heart was pounding like a trip hammer. On tiptoe, George went down the rest of the flight. When her eyes became accustomed to the dimness, she started walking ahead. To her relief, she saw the three boys coming back. They had not been harmed. Bert said in a scolding tone, "It's dangerous down here. Why didn't you stay upstairs?" George paid no attention to the question, but quickly whispered what she and Bess had heard. "I suggest we tiptoe back up, and you boys examine the wall where the muttering came from. There's something creepy going on there." Cautiously, the four ascended the steps. Ned beamed his flashlight over the paneled wall. Suddenly, he pointed to the well-concealed latch of a two-paneled door. He motioned for Bess and George to go to the top of the stairway. As he held the flashlight on the door, Bert and Dave silently moved the latch and yanked the door open. out tumbled Nancy. She fell limply into Ned's arms. For a few seconds, all eyes were on Nancy. Then Bert looked again at the door from which Nancy had emerged. A closet-type room was revealed. In it stood a bewhiskered man, stunned by the sudden turn of events and unable to escape from his captors. Just who are you? Just who are you? Bert cried, grabbing the man's arm. As he yanked him from the closet, both of them lost their balance and went rolling down the stairway. Dave went flying after the tumbling figures. Bess and George could hear a scuffle going on below. My goodness. Meanwhile, Ned had picked Nancy up and now carried her outdoors. The fresh air quickly revived her. "Oh, Nancy," said Bess, coming outside. "What happened?" Between long breaths of air, Nancy explained that as she was descending the cellar stairway, suddenly the secret door had burst open, startling her. The bewhiskered man had grabbed her and held a vial under her nose. The fumes from the vial had made her dizzy and she was unable to flee. Then he yanked me into the closet and closed the door. "Oh, you poor thing," said Bess. Presently, Bert and Dave arrived with their captive. He glowered at the young people. "Now tell your story," Ned ordered him. The prisoner only glared. They asked him his name, but he refused to give it. He would not say whether or not he was living at the castle. I gotta take a little break, okay? There's like 3 pages left. Oh boy. Who likes this book? Garbage. Okay, I'm not drinking any more of that. I'm going to get water. Dumping it. I'll keep the cup for water. I'll drink water out of it. I've changed to water. Isn't this a good book? The wind's blowing in the leaves. It's getting kind of gray. It's rain time. Who loves the rain? I do. Okay, who is this guy anyway? That's a good water glass for a while. Can't use a plastic glass for too long. Ned put his hand into the man's pocket and brought out a vial. He read the label and gave a sigh of relief. "This stuff is perfectly harmless," he said. "It'll just make a person sleepy. I want some." Turning to the prisoner, he asked, "Are you in the habit of carrying this with you?" "A guy's got a right to some protection," the man grumbled. Then he ignored further questions put to him as to why he was living there. Nancy, who felt quite like herself, said, "I'm rather glad this man abducted me. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any excuse for taking him to the police." "Police?" the man shrieked. "You ain't going to take me to the police. I ain't done nothing. This girl was too snoopy. I had to keep her quiet." This time he was ignored by the young people. Bert and Dave offered to drive the prisoner to town and turn him over to the authorities, then come back for the others. "Fine," said Nancy. "I'd like to investigate that tower." "No, no, you mustn't do that," the prisoner cried out. "You can't go up there." Why not? Nancy asked. It's dangerous. You'll get into trouble, the man replied. Come on, Bert urged the man. He and Dave took their captive by his arms and hurried him toward Ned's car. Oh, here are the keys, said Ned, running forward to hand them to Dave. When he returned, Ned asked Nancy if she really felt well enough to make the ascent to the turret. She insisted that she did, so Ned and the three girls returned to the castle and climbed to the second floor. I hope we don't meet those bats again, said Bess fearfully. If this turret is their home, they may come back before we leave. We'll have to take that chance, George told her. Bess said no more. The door to the tower was still open, and the young people climbed the stairs. Above was a stone-walled circular room. It contained a bed, a small kerosene stove, a table, and a chair. That old man has been living here all right, Ned remarked. Nancy had been casting her eyes around, looking for an opening to the roof of the turret. On one wall, in a corner, was an iron ladder. Above it, she could discern a trap door. Nancy pointed it out to the others, and Ned started up the ladder. Nothing out here but a space to stand on, he called down. Any clues? Nancy asked. Ned looked around and reported that he could find nothing. As he descended, Nancy began a search of the room. Under the cot, she saw a piece of paper and reached down to pick it up. On it were typed the words, "Our password will be Moonstone Valley." When the others saw it, Bess gave a start. "Moonstone Valley again," she exclaimed. "Nancy, that man wasn't fooling when he told you it was dangerous to come up here. This must be the hideout of some gang." "You're right," George added. "And they know the old name for this area." Uh-oh. A gang of bats. I wonder what the gang name is. The Bats. I'm tired. Well, I slept weird yesterday. Like weird hours. Because my sleeping is weird. Anyway. Nancy was thoughtful. Now she was sure that the castle, the bewhiskered man, the moonstone she had received, and some nefarious gang were all connected somehow. But who were the gang members? Mr. Seaman and friends of his? They don't sound very scary. She and the others searched the room thoroughly, but could find no other clue. In the distance, they heard a car and assumed the boys were returning. Maybe it's not the boys. "Let's go," Bess said nervously. The group trudged back to the drawbridge, where Bert and Dave met them. The boys reported that the prisoner was behind bars. Well, that didn't take long. He's already in jail. That's Nancy's daddy's influence, I guess. "The chief wants to talk to you, Nancy, after lunch," said Bert. At the mention of the word lunch, the young people realized how hungry they were. "Please, can we have like a nice meal description?" I need a good meal description in this book. George, who at once suggested the brass kettle, told Bert and Dave that she would introduce them to a gossipy but nice old lady. At first, the girls' escorts frowned, but when they heard that Mrs. Hempstead had really helped in advancing the solution to the mystery, the boys relented. To the girls' amazement, the elderly woman was not in her usual place. She's taking a nap upstairs. The rocking chair was empty, and Mrs. Hempstead's daughter said that her mother was not feeling well and had remained in her room. Nancy expressed her sympathy and led the way into the tea room. As soon as luncheon was over, the 6 friends walked to the police station. What they have for lunch? Am I the only one who wants to know what they had for lunch? Chief Burke asked Nancy to prefer charges against her assailant. He still won't give his name and he has no money on him, the official said. Nancy consented and signed the prescribed form. Oh dear, said Bess. I wish it hadn't been necessary for you to do that. I'm sure now the Moonstone Valley gang will be after you. Chief Burke's eyebrows lifted. Moonstone Valley gang, he repeated. That's one gang I haven't heard of. What do you know about them? Nancy produced the typed slip which she had found in the prisoner's bedroom. The officer was amazed and requested that she leave the paper with him. This calls for a police investigation, he declared. I'm glad you sightseers learned about this fellow. When you searched the prisoner, the young sleuth said, did you find anything of special interest on him? Chief Burke opened a drawer in his desk and pulled out a dirty piece of white paper. Only this, he said. It might be a clue to something, but it doesn't make sense to me. What does it say? Nancy inquired. The officer handed the paper to her. The instant Nancy saw the 2 words, she was sure this was a code signal. It read, Wolf's Eye. End of chapter 14. What do you want, dude? What? What do you want? Just a guy in a car stopping. End of chapter 14. Ooh. Chapter 15 is called An Exciting Paragraph. Well, I'm glad that my phone didn't shut down again. I don't know why it did that. I'm just going to check my battery to see if it is charging. Ooh, it's at 70%. When I started, or when I came back to the live, it was at 80. But I think it says it's charging. Yeah, it says it's charging. But it's going down. Who's this guy? Oh, it is starting to rain. Yes. Would you like to hear some more Outsiders? Because I was having fun reading that. Ponyboy just got jumped by some Socias, and Derry saved him or whatever. You want to hear some more of that? I'll grab it. You want to hear some more of this? Bye-bye. What had just happened? Ooh, this text is much smaller than the Nancy. He's like, my father was never rough with anyone without meaning to be. And that's where we stopped. Please turn your stupid noises off. Nobody needs their phone that loud in their car, right? With like the speaker coming through my window, like I can hear all that. Noise pollution. I don't know, a few weeks ago or something, I don't know, it was on YouTube or Facebook or something. Somewhere in Florida, there was going to be some law that you couldn't have your, you couldn't make like a ton of noise in your car with your music. It would be against the law if your music was too loud. And I'm like, I'm kind of okay with that. Nobody ever plays music I like. Like Fausto Papetti. What is this guy doing? Does this book have chapters? Oh my gosh, this book is long. It's actually a very small book, right? The Outsiders, but This is a long first chapter. This is the rest of chapter 1. And the text is pretty small. Goodbye. Derry is 6'2" and broad-shouldered and muscular. He has dark brown hair that kicks out in front and a slight cowlick in the back, just like Dad's. But Derry's eyes are his own. He's got eyes that are like 2 pieces of pale blue-green ice. They've got a determined set to them, like the rest of him. He looks older than 20, tough, cool, smart. He would be real handsome if his eyes weren't so cold. He doesn't understand anything that is not plain hard fact, but he uses his head. I sat down again, rubbing my cheek where I'd been slugged the most. Derry jammed his fists in his pockets. They didn't hurt you too bad, did they? They did. I was smarting and aching and my chest was sore and I was so nervous my hands were shaking and I wanted to start bawling, but you just don't say that to Derry. I'm okay. Soda Pop came loping back. By then I had figured that all the noise I had heard was the gang coming to rescue me. He dropped down beside me, examining my head. You got a little cut up, huh, pony boy? I only looked at him blankly. I did. He pulled out a handkerchief, wet the end of it with his tongue, and pressed it gently against the side of my head. You're bleeding like a stuck pig. I am? Look. He showed me the handkerchief, reddened as if by magic. Did they pull a blade on you? I remembered the voice. Need a haircut, greaser? The blade must have slipped while he was trying to shut me up. Yeah. Soda is handsomer than anyone else I know. Not like Derry. Soda's movie star kind of handsome. The kind that people stop on the street to watch go by. He's not as tall as Derry, and he's a little slimmer. But he has a finely drawn, sensitive face that somehow manages to be reckless and thoughtful at the same time. He's got dark gold hair that he combs back, long and silky and straight, and in the summer, the sun bleaches it to a shining wheat gold. His eyes are dark brown, lively, dancing, recklessly laughing eyes that can be gentle and sympathetic one moment and blazing with anger the next. He has Dad's eyes, but Soda is one of a kind. He can get drunk in a drag race or dancing without ever getting near alcohol. In our neighborhood, it's rare to find a kid who doesn't drink once in a while, but Soda never touches a drop. He doesn't need to. He gets drunk on just plain living, and he understands everybody. He looked at me more closely. I looked away hurriedly because, if you want to know the truth, I was starting to bawl. I knew I was as white as I felt, and I was shaking like a leaf. Soda just put his hand on my shoulder. Easy, pony boy. They ain't gonna hurt you no more. I know, I said, but the ground began to blur and I felt hot tears running down my cheeks. I brushed them away impatiently. I'm just a little spooked, that's all. I drew a quivering breath and quit crying. You just don't cry in front of Derry. Not unless you're hurt like Johnny had been that day we found him in the vacant lot. Compared to Johnny, I wasn't hurt at all. Soda rubbed my hair. You're an okay kid, pony. I had to grin at him. Soda can make you grin no matter what. I guess it's because he's always grinning so much himself. You're crazy, Soda. Out of your mind. Derry looked as if he'd like to knock our heads together. You're both nuts. Soda merely cocked one eyebrow, a trick he'd picked up from Two-Bit. It seems to run in this family. Derry stared at him for a second, then cracked a grin. Soda Pop isn't afraid of him like everyone else and enjoys teasing him. I'd just as soon tease a full-grown grizzly. But for some reason, Derry seems to like being teased by Soda. Our gang had chased the Socias to their car and heaved rocks at them. They came running toward us now, 4 lean, hard guys. They were all as tough as nails and looked it. I had grown up with them and they accepted me, even though I was younger, because I was Derry and Soda's kid brother and I kept my mouth shut good. Steve Randall was 17, tall and lean, with thick, greasy hair he kept combed in complicated swirls. He was cocky, smart, and Soda's best buddy since grade school. Steve's specialty was cars. He could lift a hubcap quicker and more quietly than anyone in the neighborhood. But he also knew cars upside down and backward, and he could drive anything on wheels. He and Soda worked at the same gas station. Steve part-time and Soda full-time, and their station got more customers than any other in town. Whether that was because Steve was so good with cars or because Soda attracted girls like honey draws flies, I couldn't tell you. I liked Steve only because he was Soda's best friend. He didn't like me. He thought I was a tag-along and a kid. Soda always took me with them when they went places if they weren't taking girls, and that bugged Steve. It wasn't my fault. Soda always asked me. I didn't ask him. Soda doesn't think I'm a kid. I'm getting pretty tired. So I'm going to stop there, okay? I'm going to stop there. Oh no, we didn't meet Steve, but that's the Tom Cruise guy, right? Tom Cruise plays Steve in the movie. Emilio Estevez is 2-bit. When does Dali come into the book? Honestly, I've read the book twice and seen the movie about 5 million times. I like the part where they go to Dairy Queen and eat the barbecue sandwiches and Cody Boy is like a big pig. But he's hungry because they've been eating bologna sandwiches in that church. Okay. Thank you for joining me. I'll be around again sometime. Aloha.